Welcome to the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast, where we explore the local arts culture in the Lehigh Valley. We'll be doing this through conversations with individual artists, administrators, and organizations. We'll explore all types of mediums with the goal of enriching local culture. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Elise.
And we have a very special announcement. We have officially surpassed 400 followers on Instagram and had a giveaway. This involved the winner sending us what they'd like for us to read live on the show. And the winner sent us a letter. So Elise, would you mind reading it?
Hi, I'm Matt Mulcini, owner of Shards Recording Studio and co-founder of Tape Swap Radio. I always felt like the Lehigh Valley had something special going on creatively, which inspired me to start a very artist-friendly and unique recording studio to serve the local musicians looking to explore their art. Although I studied violin, voice, and drums in my youth, I played in lots of bands, and I borrow much of my ethos from DIY and punk, as well as having been in mental health social work for 6 years. I try to keep everyone centered on creating the truest art they can. My hope is that in addition to a professional recording, they leave having had a fun, cathartic, fruitful, and even empowering experience. Tape Swap Radio is similar in that its mission is to be both a platform for musicians as well as a mirror to view what's going on locally, to keep folks motivated and excited to keep creating, connecting, and thriving.
If you want to follow Matt on Instagram, you can follow him at ShardsLV, which is spelled SHARDSLV. So in addition to that, we got a very special message about our podcast and how it's doing. So our podcast data hosting service sent us a message saying that we have officially exceeded 500 downloads of the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast. It means so much to us that you guys are all listening.
It does.
We have so much more in store for you as we're moving forward. But we appreciate everyone that has been liking our pictures on Instagram, engaging with our content, listening to the podcast on wherever you listen to your podcasts at.
Yeah, and a big thank you to all of our guests that have come on and donated their time and come down to the studio and recorded with us. We really appreciate it, and we hope you guys keep tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, our guest this week is the incredible and multifaceted artist, Kate Hughes. And here's Elizabeth, who's going to read her bio.
Kate Hughes is a Lehigh Valley-based photographer, printmaker, writer, actor, comedian, and radio personality. Originally from Philadelphia, Kate grew up involved in the arts. She could be found drawing and coloring from the moment she was physically able to hold a crayon. Classically trained in tap, jazz, and ballet, Kate's dance lessons spanned from kindergarten throughout college. Hughes also fell in love with writing at a very early age, always focusing on finding humor in ordinary, everyday life. She tried her hand at stand-up comedy at the age of 23 and eventually wound up landing her own internet radio show. You can still find her live on the air every Monday from 12 to 3 p.m. on WXLV through iHeartRadio and Twitch. The Lunch Express with I Hate Kate is a very comedically based live program, interspersed with listener requests, great music, and lessons Hughes may or may not have learned along the way. With a fine arts undergraduate degree and master's degree in business management, both from Cedar Crest College, Kate has been very successful at producing, marketing, and selling her work and her brand. Since 2002, she has been a fixture in the art community, performing, writing, directing, and emceeing in local venues including the Banana Factory's Crayola Gallery, Touchstone Theater, McCooley's Arts and Events Center, Arts Quest Steel Stacks, and the Allentown Art Museum. To keep her finger on the pulse of her community, Kate sits on the boards for both Bethlehem's Chamber of Commerce, where she is a director of public policy, and the Society of the Arts throughout Allentown Art Museum. Hughes immerses herself in her own work as well as the work of other artists, holding the firm belief of helping, promoting, and collaborating with other artists or creative thinkers along the way is the true measure of success in the arts. A self-taught photographer, Hughes' primary focus is her photojournalism. Her photo collection of Women Who Inspire is highlighted through Most Flammable, Hughes' one-woman performances produced through ArtsQuest. Most Flammable is an ongoing series of storytelling and stand-up comedy told through the use of her photos, showcasing and laughing through the ebbs and flows of what life can throw you. Hughes calls Most Flammable her happiness movement. These sold-out live performances have allowed her rare access into the lives of hundreds of kind, successful, magnetic women in the Lehigh Valley and beyond. The focus of her Women Who Inspire photo series is to showcase how each life has significant meaning and lasting impressions, creating a rippling effect of change and evolution as seen through Hughes' lens. She is currently writing her first book under the same title, Most Flammable, a collection of stories of both men and women that have come into her life lessons learned from both success and failure, and of course, a few jokes.
Kate, thank you so much for coming in today.
You're welcome. I'm here with my prop.
We're ready.
Are you ready? Okay, so I just wanted to tell you guys, whatever time you're listening to this, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So good, right?
That's amazing.
What flavor of Wegmans seltzer is that?
This is ginger.
Very fancy.
For very many reasons. Ginger, yeah.
Nice.
Very
Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We've talked for about an hour before sitting down. I feel like I know you guys. It's
That's
very
good.
nice. Yeah. And Elise, I met you in Cyberland
You did.
before
In the virtual world.
real land.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that interesting? It's like when you meet people with the mask on first.
Yep.
And then you have this idea of what the rest of their face looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then it never matches. And then you're mad about it. You're like, why don't they look like how I think they should look? Right?
Well, so when I met you in Cyberland, is that what you said? Love that.
Cyberland.
Cyberland, you were having trouble with your avatar.
Yes.
So it was the computer generated avatar, and then you were sunk halfway through the floor. So we were all standing quote, quote, up here. And then Kate, we're like, everyone
way
has to
down
look
there.
down to see.
That was just a brief introduction as to who I am. You're welcome. Yeah. Visually, you can just see it.
So she's halfway in the ground, and then you're there with glasses flat wrapped around your face.
Her glasses were wrapped around. I'm like, this girl's amazing.
She wears goggles.
It's goggle girl. It is weird though and that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stop.
No. So yeah, that was really cool meeting you in that space. So that was put together by Tyrone Webb.
Yeah.
And that's his, the one that he had done was through Spatial XR and their VR. What am I supposed to call it? I love Cyberland. Their VR Cyberland program.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, and shout out Spatial for sharing our information.
Oh, yeah,
on
thank
their
you. That was
page.
very
That
cool.
was awesome.
Oh, they did. Oh,
They
that's great.
did.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. They really are.
They are. That was cool. So
Yeah, it's a project that we're working on. Tyrone Webb, Michael Lebson, Brandon Seeley, Sarah Viteri, and Johnny Smith. And that's just one small part of it, the Cyberland stuff. But yeah, Tyrone Webb has his gallery virtually.
mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
I think, we think about the pandemic and all the things that happened, but we have just been thrusted into the digital age.
Oh,
Seriously.
I'm not ready, as you can tell by my avatar.
It's incredible to think that all of these things existed before we were forced to need them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting used to these things that have existed for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the way that the creative applications that are going along with that, like how people are taking it and reshaping it for their purposes, because I don't know that before that I would have ever considered going to a virtual gallery opening.
Right.
I would have been like, yeah, okay, I'll just drive over there. It's fine.
I'll get in my car. My car is real. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. And I do think that I want to kind of touch on what you said, the creative people. I mean, we're sitting amongst some of them right now. We are the people that are going to help us get through this and really just navigate through the digital world, because you're not going to go to a virtual gallery and talk to someone who's, curating it or running the gallery. That's, 9 to 5 or like an accountant. That's the word I was trying to think of. You want someone that's going to sort of entertain you and engage you in creative and thought-provoking conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's, let's put our superhero capes on right now.
Yep.
Shout out to the Lehigh Valley Art Avengers from Keith's episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So that hive mind collective of creatives working together on projects, and Tyrone's virtual gallery, that's part of a project that you're working on.
Yeah, he sort of, what has been really interesting through all of this, he reached out to me. Gosh, I don't remember the time frame. I don't know if it's been like that for you guys too. Everything kind of seems to like.
Oh, the last year is just.
Oh gosh,
it's really weird.
Yeah.
So he reached out to me and he said, "I want to talk to you. I have this idea," and I'm like, "Yeah, right. I'm busy. No, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there. And I met him, and he asked if I knew anybody that would be interested in sort of working on this project where we meld the worlds of theater and the visual arts together. And I said, yeah, let me put some feelers out. And I called my squad, and everyone, is like, yes. And that's another thing, like through all this, the people, the creative people, the artists and the musicians and all of those people, they're hungry. They're hungry for stuff. Their world shut down.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity, and it was Tyrone's idea to really just full throttle, just get everyone that we possibly can involved and just immersed in the art experience. So his idea was to call it That Thing At. So say we do it at the Banana Factory, and people were like, oh, did you see that thing? What thing? That thing at the Banana Factory. So that's the idea. But yeah, we're like a secret society. I can't give you too much information. Otherwise you'll go missing. I'm joking. That's a joke.
Well, I was going to say, on the Instagram and on collectively yours or Tyrone's or Michael's, I've seen pirate costumes, astronaut costumes. I've seen videos of people running up and down hallways.
That's so you mostly named everything that I bring to the table. I'm like, I don't have any skills, but I have a great amount of costumes. I can bring those with me. Yeah, and that was another thing. So during the pandemic, I mean March 2020, we'll always remember it. Everything actually shut down on March 16th, 2020. All the businesses, that was the last day for everything. Yeah. I know this because that was my birthday.
Oh man.
What a happy birthday.
Yeah. It was an interesting birthday. And I remember going to, my one girlfriend was like, well, we have to, the world's shutting down tomorrow. We have to make the best of it. And Noelle Gabovitz, she picked me up and we went to Vegan Treats. She wanted to get me a little cake. And we walked in. Now remember, this is the beginning of the pandemic. And we walked in and we ordered the cakes and we said, oh, we'll just sit over here. And they said, I'm sorry, you can't sit in here. You have to take it with you. And that was the first time. It was that first taste of it, and we had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And several months in, I lost my job and I was alone. I was completely alone with my thoughts, which is never good. Then Tyler Rothrock, I don't know if you guys know Tyler yet, but he's a local comedian. And he reached out to me and he's like, I'm going to put a podcast together. I have to do something. I have to laugh through this. And he had a friend whom I had never met before. And he said, my friend Tim's interested. Are you in? I'm like, yes, God, please. Somebody help me get out of this. So we just did a Zoom podcast every single night.
Nice.
Monday through Friday. I think it was 8 to 9 p.m. And I met Tim Fry for the first time on our first show. And we just had this chemistry and we laughed throughout the entire pandemic. And we created this, we called it our, I can't remember. We called it our society of listeners, the nation. That's what we called it, the nation. It was called Clicking and Screaming. And I think if you go on, you can still find it online somewhere. But man, they saved me. I was able to laugh every single night. So that's where the costumes came in. I was like, well, I should just get dressed up or something. I should do something. Right. And then I joked that I forgot what legs looked like. I never saw Tim's legs. And then when I finally, I'm just so interested. He would hold his leg up every once in a while and it's like, hey. And then when I met him, he was like 6 feet tall. And I was like, that didn't work out in my head. That's not how I imagined you to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a community of like-minded people coming together. And that's, I noticed that, like the people that were singing to each other in Italy and all around every country. I just thought that was really interesting. And that's how we get through.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've spent a lot of quarantine and a lot of the pandemic making things I probably otherwise wouldn't have made just because what else am I going to do with my time,
Yeah.
Once you finish work, you can't leave the house. So you make a collage or
right. Exactly.
Whatever. And it's, I don't want to say it's fun, but it was cool because now I have all this stuff that I can look back on and say, like, what was I feeling or what was I thinking when I made that? So
absolutely. It made people we were all out of our comfort zone, right? I mean, all of us, it was the ultimate pause button that was pressed. And you sink or swim. And it was nice to see like people would start cooking and baking.
The bread thing. What is it with the bread?
Everybody got it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We were looking for yeast for like months. And I kept going to the grocery store and coming home. And I'm like, Elizabeth, they're out of yeast again. Why can I not find yeast anywhere? Is there like a shortage or something? Oh my God. So even in just the hour before this podcast, we were talking, and it seems that community and being really outgoing about the importance of this community at large is huge.
I love the Lehigh Valley. I really do. I can tell that you guys do too, because why else would you do this? I mean, there's so much. Well, first of all, there's so much untapped potential here. Besides that, there are so many creative and wonderful people here. I'm from outside of Philadelphia, and I went to Cedar Crest College, and I just never left the area. And I'm on the Chamber of Commerce for Bethlehem. They felt sorry for me. They're like, all right, come on. And I've met so many wonderful people through being on the chamber. You meet all these business owners and people that genuinely care about our community, our businesses, and the people that live here. And I haven't really experienced that in the other places where I live. And I got involved in theater, local theater. Probably like 10, 15. It's more like 15 years ago, I guess, if I'm going to be honest about it. And I was working for the V-Day organization.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with that. You are, Ben. It's an organization that is trying to end violence against women and girls. And I did that for many, many years. And we did the vagina monologues. And I met so many amazing women through that organization putting that production together. Have you seen it, Elise?
I haven't.
You haven't?
I'm sitting here thinking, I need to do that when I get home.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's just Eve Ensler is the writer, and she wrote all of these monologues. And you get your community together. No one has to be an actor. And, they just get up and you can read it off of the cards. And man, it's such a thrilling organization to be a part of. So I was working with Turning Point, and I can't remember the other name of the organization. It's been so long. I blame the pandemic for everything. Where are my keys? I blame the pandemic. It's true.
I haven't used them since March 2020.
I haven't left the house since March. A Woman's Place. I remembered it.
Yes.
In Doylestown. Yeah. So doing that, I've met so many women and their husbands and sons and brothers, and just this community of people that I'm still in touch with. I haven't done that production in a couple of years now. But yeah, we all keep tabs on each other. That's awesome. It's really nice. Yeah.
Have you always been this outgoing?
Oh, no. Great question, Ben. No, I was painfully shy as a child, but I did always like to shop. I want that to be known. So we would go to the mall every Saturday night. My grandparents would be there. My older brother, and I, Roddy. Shout out. Hi, Rod. And I would go. I had to get the biggest, shiniest, most colorful earrings. That was very important to me. And I would pick them all out. But I could not take myself up to the counter. I couldn't pay for them because I was so shy. So I would give my brother the money, and he would wind up paying for my earrings. And that went on for years. He's still doing that, actually. And I was in third grade, and I always sort of kept to myself. I don't know, a really shy person. And my third grade teacher, Miss Wojcik, I think she noticed that I had an affinity for like coloring and drawing and things like that. And she asked me if I wanted to do a mural for the entire school. I was in third grade. And she said, while the kids are at recess, you can go in the gym and you can paint this huge mural on the wall. And I was like, sign me up. I'm doing it. I was there while the kids are outside, and I'm all alone in my element. And the day for the unveiling came, and the entire school was in the gym, and my teacher held me up. I always say it's like that scene from The Lion King.
Yeah.
Which she probably could not get away with in today's day and age. But she held me up, and all the kids, they were clapping for me.
Oh
It was
my God.
probably a terrible mural, but it made me feel like I found my voice. That was my way to communicate with people, was through art. And I just tried my hand at everything. I would make sculptures out of soap. I would carve soap. I would paint rocks, anything that I could get my hands on, I sort of did. And it's funny because my mom, to this day, she'll give me weird things like lint. She's like, I'm sure you can do something with this, right, Kate? I'm like, this is a whole bag of lint, Mom. What am I supposed to do with this? Bottle caps, you name it. And I'm like, she's right. I can do something with it. But yeah, and I think that's sort of, that speaks to the person that I am today. Still trying to figure it out. But
No, you are definitely not the first person on this show to bring up a former teacher or someone who has just kind of pulled that out of you.
yeah.
And I think every time we come in here, I always think about like one of my former art teachers, and like, I wouldn't be doing this if
Right.
if they hadn't been there to kind of foster that. And my mom and people in my life have too, but man, like art teachers, they're just like on it.
Yeah, I think now, especially because the world has changed so much, especially in this past year, you really don't know just any kind of kindness that you can extend to somebody or encouragement. You really don't know where that person is in their life. And it really could make the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, my teacher asked me, because she saw that I was quiet and I like to paint, and it changed my life.
That's such a beautiful entrance to the artistic journey that you would go on.
Yeah.
I mean, to start with a mural, which for a lot of visual artists,
Kate.
like that's
big deal.
That's the end all be all.
I finished in 5 minutes. No, not even close. Yeah, and my parents put me in dance, because I guess that's what you do when you have a daughter. You just put her in dance.
Yeah, totally.
You did that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm 6 feet tall. I don't know why my parents ever thought like
Oh, is
I
it
was
a height
graceful enough to
Oh, I didn't know you had to be a certain height. Why are you saying that? 6 feet?
No, I'm saying it. I don't know why they thought their like gangly tall child was like the right kid to be in a dance class.
Probably because you are a girl, and they were just like, well, this is
totally.
what we do with girls.
Yep.
Boys do sports, girls do dance. That's different now. Everything's different now. But yeah, even that, I would hide in my closet because I didn't want to go to rehearsal.
Oh my goodness.
And my parents would have to come looking for me. But I'll tell you what, when it was recital time and that white hot spotlight was on and I'm in my costume, I was just like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's sign up for another year. They're like, oh my God.
I think I see the thread, and it's the costumes.
You're right. I never put those things together. Yeah.
So was there a Lion King costume involved with the mural thing?
There will be. No. Not yet. It's the only costume I don't have.
No, that's awesome. So in addition to your extensive costume use,
Yes.
you definitely fall under the description of like a multifaceted or multidisciplinary artist. And when we started talking, you said that being a writer is kind of the common thread between all of the things that you do.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I just was listening to this audio book. I'm finding myself doing that now that I'm back in my car. And I was never familiar with this term, but gallows humor. It's when you find humor in things that are less than humorous, like the people that crack jokes at funerals. And I had always done that. I'm very uncomfortable when people are uncomfortable. And my go-to move is a joke. Just tell a joke, lighten the load, and that's sort of always how I operate it in my family dynamic. And then when I finally came out of my shell in like, I don't know, 11th grade, something like that, I was the jokester, and then I thought, I should maybe write these things down. And actually a friend of mine, Ashley Adams, she's a local girl. I met her through V-Day, brilliant actor. and brilliant writer, and she would write, Facebook posts. And I was like, I really want to do that. And then I thought, well, why don't you? No one's going to do it for you, Kate. Why don't you just do it? So I just started writing and started out with a Facebook post, and people really seemed to like it. And they were like, I'll buy your first book. And I was like, and then you don't believe it because you have that voice in your head that always is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to do this? And you fight with that for a little while. And I really come to know myself, especially over this past year. I think you have to find your purpose in life and not stray from it. Even when everything else or a lot of things are sort of telling you to do it, you have to just follow your heart, because it's always hard work, but it's always worth it. So I started doing that, and I did V-Day, and somebody told me, like, why don't you write your own play? And I was like, oh, okay. And so I did. I wrote my first play, and we performed it at McCool's Arts and Events Center. And I mean, my mom came, I think it was the second play I wrote. She came to it, and she was crying at the end. And she came up to me, and she's like, you are an artist. And I said, I've been telling you this.
Didn't you see my mural, Mom?
Mom, 3rd grade, come on. I'm like, I've been telling you this the whole time. No, that really meant something to me because, I think, as parents, they want you to have, be safe, have a job, be a nurse, those kind of things. And I just could never do that. So, I wrote a couple of plays, and then I had a really difficult year. And it wasn't 2020. So I've been in training for that year. 2017 was just, I call it my best worst year. It was a year where, man, I cried so much, but I have never laughed more in my entire.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's that gallows humor. You just have to laugh in the face of adversity. And I thought, it was like clockwork. Something happened every month, so much so that I remember looking up in the sky and being like, all right, I'll write it down. So that's what I did. So that was my most flammable. The first episode was based on 2017. And it started the beginning of the year with a breakup of a long-term relationship, which I'm sure we've all lived through that. And it sort of just rocked my world. And then at the end of the year, like I said, everything. I did a play, I think it was in February, and we all forgot our lines.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever. And I left the stage, and I came back out, and I said, we're going to start this play over. I'm sorry, we're all very tired. They're like, yeah, woo. We do it again, and we forget our lines again.
Oh my gosh.
It was like a living nightmare.
It's like Noises Off.
Yes. But worse.
Yeah. But real.
But real life.
But real life.
Yeah. And the writer was there, and he had brought all of his friends from Philadelphia.
Oh
gosh. It was the worst thing. And then afterwards, everyone's like, where's your boyfriend? And I'm like,
Oh,
it was just like salt in the wound. And then at the end of the year, I thought I had cancer. I had a cancer scare. it was the worst year
oh my gosh.
of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm fine. And I just thought, when you have what you perceive to be a near-death experience or something that, you think I'm going to have to fight a hard fight, everything that you think is important, somehow you see very clearly that what is actually important and what can just go to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that year, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I decided I'm going for it. So that's when I decided I was going to write that show, and I did. And I sold out, no big deal, which was amazing. I begged people. I begged them to come, and I will do it again. So thank you for having me here to do that.
Oh my goodness. You're welcome.
Just to clarify, Kate did not beg. We begged her to come on today.
I don't know. Well, potato, right?
So I was just thinking about, like, I haven't been in a play since I was a kid.
Oh.
And that is like a reoccurring nightmare that I have
Oh,
for no reason at all.
It's horrible. I lived it.
And it's like I also play the violin, so it's like it doesn't matter. Like, it can be like forgetting my lines, or like getting on stage and then I didn't memorize the piece, or like getting here and I didn't read any of my notes. Like, it's transferable to anything that I'm working on. It's horrible.
It is. It's like the the naked dream, or the underwear dream. Yeah.
Or the college one where you like, it's the last day of school and you didn't do your term paper and you're going to fail out and you won't graduate.
Right. Yeah. Universal anxiety. I love it.
It's like non-college anymore. Like, there's no paper to finish. Now there's just grants to finish.
Right. Now there's harder things.
So we talked about you writing.
Yes.
We talked about you acting in plays.
Mm-hmm.
And in the information that you sent us beforehand, there was some stuff about some films that you've been in.
Yeah, it's interesting. People they just ask me to do things, and I am a yes girl. I'm like, sure, yeah. And I just put it on my schedule and I show up when I'm supposed to. Sometimes I'll have makeup and hair done. Sometimes, it's a crapshoot. So Brandon Seeley of Living Proof Pictures, he was the first director, filmmaker that I worked with. And I believe the first film that we did is called Binge Purge. It's actually on, oh gosh, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's on one of those platforms. I think it's Amazon Prime. And I co-starred with Valen Turkovich, and she was the lead and I was the supporting actress. She is phenomenal. She is a phenomenal actress. She's been on, what are those? The Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
She's been in a Lifetime movie.
Ooh.
Nice.
And she lives here. Another gem in the Lehigh Valley. And Brandon put that movie into the film circuits and we won a bunch of awards. And I actually won Best Supporting Actress in one of the awards.
Can you do like an applause sound effect there?
Yes. So you guys are with an award-winning actress. I should have brought my Oscar. I do have one. I made it myself, but somebody had to do it. So that kind of like gave me I caught the bug for that stuff. And recently, I'm working on another one with him right now. But right now in the film circuit, we have a short and a long. That's my film joke, Ben.
I love it.
You're welcome. That was for you.
A short and a long.
So the feature length is Brandon Seeley, Living Proof Pictures, and it's Bitter Taste of Ginger. And it's my first death scene.
Oh, man.
I get to die. Mm-hmm. It was very interesting. And then the short that we have is Life Happens, Then You Cry. And that's with La Princesa Productions and Cuba Fernandez. And he has his own production company as well. And we shot that entirely in Bethlehem, right on Main Street, essentially.
Awesome.
And I think it's a 15-minute film. Now, that's in the film circuit currently, so you can't see that yet online. But we have won a couple of awards for that. We won the People's Choice Award in the first film festival that we were in.
Wow.
Awesome.
Which I'm told that's the award you want. Right?
Yes, that is.
You better say yes, Ben.
Yes. Yeah, that's oh my goodness. Yeah, at film festivals, everything else is so up to taste, and the curators can be very very esoteric in their choices and what they want. But getting that audience award at any film festival is really an accomplishment. And
it's all original score in that one and the other films.
Gosh.
Yeah. And this one in particular, Life Happens, Then You Cry. I think because it's a short, there's so much information that's packed in a short amount of time. The music really, it just drives it. And I never really noticed that about films before, embarrassingly enough. But man, I'm very proud of all of the work that I've done and the people that I've worked with. But Sarah, she's another one. She's like, I wrote this film and I want you to read it. So I'm reading it and it's like this girl named Kate and her friend Sarah. I'm like, it sounds sounds familiar.
Like, are you sure this is a film?
Are you stalking me? I'm like, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. And we had such a good time doing it, and like everyone was so nice and kind. And I hadn't done, I had done a couple other films before, but I had always done just theater my whole life.
Yeah.
And I really like it's film is forgiving. You
Yeah,
get a redo.
What
It's
was
not
that?
like live theater.
What was that transition like from the theater to the camera for you?
I have to say that I do feed off of that audience because people do ask me like, what do you like better? There's so many great parts about theater. I mean, that energy, gosh, you can't get that anywhere.
It's unbeatable.
For sure.
And I just feed off of that. I need it. So film, it was difficult for me. And there's no one to read for like where the line's falling, where the laugh's falling.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you see it at the premiere and you hear these people laughing, I don't know, it just didn't register for me at first. Like, oh, I knew that was a funny line. I knew I had to deliver it a certain way, but it was kind of like the reactions were placed on hold because it was recorded.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good way to describe it.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
I think that's a great way to describe it.
But so it was difficult for me. But then when I
Yeah.
saw it and seeing it for the first time, Brandon was like, I want you to see it before the premiere. And I was like, I don't want to look at myself. He's like, why are you an actor? I'm like, Great question. We'll get to that later. And that was sort of difficult. I remember I had my hands over my eyes because I was like, it's getting me bad. But it's very forgiving. You get all those takes. You can just redo your mistakes, which I'm very good at. I'll do it on live theater as well. I'm like, we're going to start over.
Yeah, we never say that. I don't want to listen to myself. Then why are you doing podcasts?
It's weird. Yeah. Now with the like, I have a radio show.
Yeah.
So I think that was just a natural transition. And now you have just been doing this podcast and you don't have any prior experience, correct?
As a host, yes.
As a host. Okay.
Yes.
But you have podcast experience. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know when you're on it, like when I first started a million years ago, that my voice was like very much up here and nasally, and and you listen back, which is very important.
Yeah.
And you want to make your voice soothing and at the least bearable, right? And to move away from the microphone when you have to move away, and and change the pitch and the tone to keep people listening.
Yeah.
Because if you talk like this, every time you say something, people are going to listen to how you're saying it and know what you're saying. And I do that now.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hear people and I'm like, I can't even hear what you're saying. I want you to stop talking like that.
Yeah. I to a T, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. And do you listen back to your shows? I mean, I know you do the editing, so you have to.
Yes.
But do you find yourself just like cracking open a bottle of wine and listening?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a funny story with that, too, because when we first started it, Elise, you were like, my only contingency is I will never listen to the show.
Are you serious? You're like, I'll do it, but I don't ever want to hear what I've done. But it's a podcast, Elise. I know that.
We always joke, like, I live in perfect oblivion that no one listens to this at all. And now, like, the more people that are listening, or like even people I don't even know, and then I've gotten into conversation, they're like, oh, have you heard about this podcast? And I'm like, damn it. Like,
you're like, I don't want this to be popular.
And I do, because the message is so important, but it's crazy. The what is the word I'm looking for? The self-consciousness that comes with any sort of art, whether it's visual art, performing art, is you are so
open.
Like everything is exposed. Like your emotions, your voice, like everything. And it's not
for the faint of heart.
It's not. And it's funny because when we started this project, I like podcasts, which is why I was like, sure, podcast, why not?
Right.
So now I've turned it into almost like a meditative sort of thing where every time I go for a walk, then I'll just listen back to one of our episodes and then say, okay, why did you say it like that? Or why did you say that word? Or why do you keep saying and and try to kind of fix it. But yeah, totally. That's I absolutely the listening back thing.
The end to that original story was that we did the second episode, and I preview our episodes so I can listen to them in as many different environments so that I can mix and EQ them so that they sound good everywhere, right?
Okay.
And unless you upload it to a streaming service, you can't listen to it in the car, right?
Oh.
Especially on an Apple device.
Okay.
And so if anybody listening can find it, good luck. But I upload the show to SoundCloud under a completely different show name and a very random username.
Oh.
And they're very rough drafts. And then I send them to us so that we can listen to it. We can pull it up on SoundCloud. Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah. So that's a challenge for everyone listening, is if you can find the show alias and alias username, you can hear the show before it comes out.
Challenge accepted.
But I sent that to Elise.
Yeah.
And she's like, I guess I will listen to it.
If I have to. Yeah.
And then she had some very valuable notes.
Yeah, no, and it's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's how you grow and you get better. You have to. Trust me. When the first film, I'm no joke. I was like hiding. I'm like, I don't want to see it. Well, then you're in the wrong profession. Oh, okay. I'll look then.
Oh man.
Yeah. So your radio show is hysterical.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of natural transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
WXLV the X, the Lunch Express with I Hate Kate.
That's me. You found me. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I've been doing that for far longer than I should be doing anything. And again, when I first started, I started out, I was doing the Vagina Monologues. A girlfriend of mine was a DJ on the X, and I just asked her. I was like, "Hey, can I come on and help and like promote this show?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Sure." So I got on, and we had this great rapport. And she's like, "Anytime you have a show, come back." And I said, "Okay." Maureen McGrath. It was Reenie on your radio. So I kept asking her, and then finally she made me a co-host. She finally gave up. She's like, "Fine, you can stay." So I stayed, and then they offered me my own show, and I've been doing. I think it's been like, it's a good decade, a good one, maybe like a 12-year decade.
Wow.
Yeah. And before the pandemic, I was able to bring people in and interview them. So I've interviewed so many artists and business owners and entrepreneurs and people that I find to be interesting. And my issue is I am not capable of small talk. I feel as though maybe you suffer from the same disease. I
think that's why podcasters make podcasts.
Yeah, probably. I just can't do it, and I don't like that when someone's like, "How are you?" "I'm good. How are you?" That's not even. That's just another way of saying hi.
Yeah.
If somebody asks me how I am, buckle up. I'm gonna sit down, grab a drink. It's gonna be a long conversation. But yeah, it's that conversation. I love that, like that tennis match of wits. And I do miss that from my show. But right now it's a 3-hour show. It's Mondays, 12 to 3 p.m. And it's the Lunch Express with I Hate Kate. And I have listeners, they text, they send Instagram messages and Facebook messages, they request songs, and we tell stories. And I take notes in my phone during the week of weird and stupid things. And I talk about them.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. When you came into the studio today, I listened today.
Thank you.
And I was texting Ben and Elizabeth all day going, Kate is giving us a shout out on the podcast, podcast, on her radio show.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, you did that for me. I can't tell you how happy that made me when I saw that. It did. That's what I was saying. Like these little things that sorry, I just punched the microphone. I talk with my hands. I should sit on them. These little things that we can do to help each other.
Yeah.
They really matter. So then I begged people today. I was like, please do what Elise did. Record this and play it. But yeah, I do appreciate that. And when people listen, I always say, you've been warned. You tell me you're listening, I'm going to say something about you. And it's usually good.
I think the first time that we mentioned you was in Tyrone's episode.
Yeah.
Because you took the picture, I believe,
I did.
that he sent. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I do photography. I can't sit still, as you're witnessing right now. Yeah, I've known Tyrone for years, and like I said, we were working on that thing and
Yes.
I don't think I've ever interviewed him. I think the pandemic hit before I got a chance to do that. But how about it? He is like so eloquently spoken.
Oh, yeah.
And he never says the word doesn't say it. It's not in his vocabulary.
Seriously, it's impressive.
It is. Hate him. Hate him. Just kidding. I love you, Tyrone.
Yeah, I usually do an pass on all the episodes where I go through. Our record is 395 that were cut from an episode.
You didn't have to tell us that. I didn't want to know.
Well, that's between us and the guest that was on total. So, it's probably like 100 a person.
Probably more than guests.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. That's stupid. Just kidding.
But yeah, the amount of time it saves not to say is immeasurable.
It's weird. Well, it's that space in between thought.
Yeah.
It's the space keeper.
Yeah.
The space keeper.
What else do you guys want to know? Just kidding.
The one thing that I was really excited to talk with you about, Kate, just in general, because you do kind of fall into that multidisciplinary, multifaceted artist, and you have such a big community of people that you've worked with or people that...
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to tell you, I'm very nervous right now as to what you're going to say or ask me. It's intense.
I'm creating a buildup.
I love it. I love it.
No, well, yeah.
Drum roll.
Well, no, it's quite a simple question and something that I'm not sure we've gotten too much into outside of our first episode. But do you consider yourself an arts advocate?
Oh, yes. Well, originally I went to school for biology. I wanted to be a vet. And I have found in my travels through time that I often thought that science and art were so far away from each other. But the more I've traveled through this world, I've realized that they're not. So many artists have a background in biology or science, which I find fascinating. But then it was also kind of reassuring, like I'm not as crazy as maybe I originally thought. But yes, I have been collecting art for many, many years, probably 20 years at this point, again, if I'm going to be honest. And I have a very tiny apartment. I've moved 3 times, I think, and I have really high ceilings. So I'm able to sort of salon style. But I am running out of room. And I took great care today before I came here. I wanted to, if I could, list the artists that I've purchased.
That would be lovely.
Most of them I've purchased, and some people have been generous enough to give me pieces, and I've done trade with people as well. And first and foremost, I have to mention Laura Bly. She's a clothing designer. She's on the south side of Bethlehem, and she has the task of dressing me for my shows. So I went to her for my last show, and I said, "Here's the idea: make me look like a peacock." I did. So she made me an outfit with peacock material. It's a beautiful thing that she made just for me. And I also said, Laura, I'm going to need a rainbow suit. Come on. And she did. She made me a rainbow suit. So Laura Bly Designs, she's a lucky woman to get to work with me in that way. Anna Hamilton, oh gosh, just a brilliant artist. I've known her. It's so funny how time goes by so fast. She's a painter, and she's a studio in Allentown. Tyrone Webb, Michael Lebson. He's actually a painter. You've had him on, but I have one of his photos. He's a photographer as well.
Oh.
Anthony Smith from the Banana Factory. I have many. I have 3 pieces that I've purchased from him, and then he was actually throwing away art.
Oh my goodness.
Because he's like, it's bad. I said, it's not bad. Is it free? Can I have this trash art? Which is not trash art. That's a terrible thing to say. But so I was able to have more of his stuff because, obviously it's wonderful work, but you know how you are. You're just like, well, this isn't good enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren Kuhn, oh gosh, from the Banana Factory. Do you know her?
Yes.
Her work is so good. I actually helped her. She was struggling at the Banana Factory. She was new. She's moving this huge box, and I was trying to help her because I was like, oh God, this poor girl. I'm like, plus I want to show off my muscles, right? I'm like, I got this. Why don't you lay down? No, and I I helped her move the box, and I went into her studio, and I was like, oh my God, it's so good. So I bought a piece, a fried egg, as a matter of fact. Lauren Beekner, who actually has work, this is June, she currently has work at the Banana Factory. She does amazing paintings. Bobby Zeke, I have one of his wood pieces. Al Johnson, he's also at the Banana Factory. I have 3 pieces of his. Egidio Galgano, I love his name and I love his artwork. He's on Instagram. He's very active and his work is wonderful. Caitlin Lau, she's a photographer, she's a painter, and I have a couple of her pieces. She's donated to the Vagina Monologues for me, artwork. Michelle Neifert, she was at the Banana Factory for many years. She's an Allentown-based artist. Daryl George travels all over the world, oil painter. Stephen G. Amy, I haven't seen him lately, but I've collected his artwork. I have a long list, so I'll just read them off. Will Hubsher, his work is amazing. Do you know a lot of these artists? Okay, good. Arturo Cabrera, he is like, man, I knew that I had to buy one of his pieces because I thought, I want to say that I have one. And when he hits the big time.
That's such a flex.
Seriously. I'm like, I own an Arturo Cabrera. Kayla Ackelson, young artist just starting out. Her work is so cool. Nancy Bossert, if you need to get her on the show, she does just about anything a person can do creatively. And she's like one of those people that she doesn't know she's showing off, but she's showing off. She's just so good at everything that she does. It's kind of ridiculous. Chris Costo, I've known him for years. I have several of his pieces. Laurie Franzo, Jesse Reno, Chris P. Jones, and Christy Garton. They do like this pop art stuff. Marilyn Fox, she's a great artist too. Michael Freeman. Do you know Michael? Did you have him on here?
He was our first
How did you find him?
Yeah, he was your first one. That's right. Yeah. He was contacting me about his artwork, and I said, let me see it. So he told me he's a legally blind painter. So he kept texting me and showing me his art. I'm like, I have to buy 2 pieces. Yeah. So I bought 2 pieces.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Oh my God. You're the
That's me.
So I know Michael through my job, and that's so because I run the Arts and Access program through the Arts Council, and he contacted the Arts Council about stuff. And so we've just been in contact since I started that job. And he texts me pretty much every day with a new piece of art. And I went to his studio a couple weeks ago, and it's floor to ceiling, like art everywhere, stacks of stuff on the floor, like literally everything.
Yeah.
And every time he's like, Elise, I sold a painting, Elise. And it's just like, it makes me so happy.
I know.
And I remember a few months ago, he's like, I sold 2 paintings to the same person. And he's like, they bought 2.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think he's great.
And that's amazing.
I was over at Juxtahub, which you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that Michael Freeman?
Yeah.
And I was like, what a tiny little world.
Oh my gosh.
And it's great that, there's that place too, just supporting the artists.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen Woodward, she's an amazing artist. Andy Grunberg, she's based out of Allentown. I love her. She makes jewelry and she paints and does collages. Khalil Alaic, he's married to Laura Bly. Mm-hmm. He's a sculptor, painter, printmaker. He's another one who just does everything. I have a couple of his pieces. Tina Cantelme, she's a painter in the Lehigh Valley. Susan Washington, Charles Salvatierra, and William Wyand. These are the house painters that listen to my show. I told them I would give them a shout out. Tom Holmes is a sculptor. James Conti, he's this young guy that makes these beautiful lamps out of wood. He like carves. I have a lamp that's a tree. It's a beautiful, he's like 22 years old. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Shweta Jajodia, she makes beautiful furniture. Valerie Young, Rick Lung, Danny Polk, Dan Getz, they're glass artists, wonderful people. W.T. Williams, Lynn Beadle, Ariel Schnauzer. I have pottery by Deb Slada and Naomi Story. Lynn Noble is a photographer, a writer, published author. Ken Sigafus, Kenny Pfeiffer, Doug Wiltrout. He's at the Banana Factory. He's an amazing artist. I'm almost done. Stacy Louise Smith and Carolyn Keys. They both are jewelry artists. They make amazing jewelry. Cody Abrachinsky, Matthew Blum is a photographer in the Lehigh Valley. Melissa Perhamus, she had a studio at the Banana Factory for quite some time, and she makes beautiful things. She's experimenting right now. I heard your podcast a couple weeks ago that you were working with. Was it watercolor that you were working with?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing watercolor right now. Tom D'Angelo, Michael Hess, and my best friend, Veronica Budahas, who does these amazing, she does everything. She makes tie-dyes, she makes candles, she makes organic face cream, and she cooks and bakes. And
yeah.
That's it. That's everybody.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. So that's my list.
That's cool. I like that your response to a question about advocacy was, I have a huge collection of art, and here's all of the people that I got it
I think
from.
I missed a couple, but I think that's most of them. So
That's awesome.
No, well, I love that because through school, through my work, through this podcast, even I've often fall back to the phrase that a boss had told me once, that storytelling is the best form of advocacy.
Yes.
And especially art advocacy, which is cool because I think that ties back into that thing at the emotional connection between art and the artist.
Yeah.
So the value of learning about the artists, hearing about the artists from a friend or from a podcast or from wherever, but it's just for people that don't necessarily have a deep understanding or that like traditional art background where you're I don't want this to sound like pretentious, but where you are trained to look at art a certain way and then determine whether it's good or not, that kind of thing. For people that don't necessarily like have that background, I think that it's the emotional connection, either whether you do or not, the emotional side of being connected to art is so important.
I think it in some ways is more important than the
it is absolutely more important
aspect.
Yeah,
and that's how I mean I've been selling art for many years, and it is always an emotional purchase. And I would always say when someone's looking at something and they're leaving and not kind of pulling the trigger, I say, well, let me know, here's my card, let me know if this keeps you up at night. And they would come back and that would be the truth. But every artist has a story, whether it's how they became the artist, and we were talking about that earlier. Some people want to say some parts of their story, some people want to omit some parts of their story. And like Michael Freeman, I mean, he's like a legally blind painter. I was like, that is ridiculous. And I need to buy some of your stuff. Yeah. And Arturo Cabrera, I mean, I told his story. I can't even tell you how many times I told his story. And Danny Polk, he's one of my favorite artists. He's a glass artist, and I think he was 27 or something when he started making glass. I mean, think Chihuly stuff, like really beautiful pieces. And, you get to be around these things, and you get to learn how these artists interact with one another and how they interact with you and themselves and their families. And people love hearing that. I mean, that's why your podcast is so successful, is people love that side of it too. And you fall in love with the artist before you fall in love with the art, if you're lucky.
Totally.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, I didn't mean it to sound like that's not, that one is more important than the other, but I do definitely believe the emotional side of that is more important. And I think that's funny because that came up when you were talking about the film the film festival, and the People's Choice Award. That's more important than the
right.
Yeah. And it's funny because it should be about the collective and everyone. Art is made for the viewer by the artist, or however you view it. Like, the emotional stuff is so important.
I didn't. If it came across that I was correcting you,
no,
but I know what you're saying, like the technical aspects, and I appreciate that too. But for me, I always look for the heart of it, and if you can find that, you can be successful in selling art.
Definitely.
I haven't been keeping a track of the time at all.
You're like, it feels like forever.
No,
Is it over?
I'm like this. I don't feel like we've been in here very long, but it's probably been like a while. Is there what did we not cover that you wanted to talk about?
Oh gosh. You know what's so terrible? I talk all the time, like for the radio. Like I don't even know what I've said. That's terrible. I know we talked about the films on my show.
We talked about being shy.
I had on here like the radio show, the writer comedian relationship, the multidisciplinary artist, the films, your art collection, that thing and then your upcoming show.
Yeah, I think we got it all.
Okay. Well, maybe we can, for the last chunk, since we'll use, do you want to do the opportunity separate or just like start a new part now with the end of it?
Yeah, that works.
Because then it'll feed right into the bit that she's going to do at the end.
Yeah. I think that was good. I'd like to do a little bit more wrap up because if we were to end it there, it would feel really abrupt.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
See you guys.
No, I want to talk more about the most flammable.
Most flammable, sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
And
then
gotcha.
Do you care if that and then
do we have the shout out that we need to do for
do I need to do more
400th follower thing? Do we have that pulled up?
No.
Because I know that we wanted to do that at the end.
Well, then let's do it separate.
Okay.
Sorry.
We did
That's fine.
We did like a
I saw
a raffle thing and this awesome, I can't remember his name now, but you probably know him.
Recording studio in Southside.
Oh yeah, I do know him.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, he reached out to me on
Matt? Something.
On Instagram. I feel bad. I'm so bad with names.
Same.
So bad with them.
Yeah, but he's our shout out. So we will do it separately then because I don't want to do it like that for him. Okay. Okay, do you want to just jump right into then like I don't even know. Let me look really quick at the notes that I have from earlier too.
Thank you for letting me say all those names.
Oh, of course.
Totally. No, I actually really like that. Like no one else has done something like that. And I think it really hits home with like we were talking with Michael with like about the mission driven stuff and like how we are really honing in on our mission now that we're up to 10 episodes. And that's such a cool representation of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I was like, they're going to tag them. I want everybody to be tagged.
No, absolutely. Yeah. We usually listen through the episodes and then like take notes.
I can certainly send you these names.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, we ran into, I think, 4 episodes ago, when you're tagging people on an Instagram picture itself, it maxes out at 30. And we had more than 30.
Oh, so did you go back in as a...
So then we had to go into the bio section of it. And then we had to include them all there as well. But then we only included the ones that were pertinent to the artist, their process, and people that they worked directly with.
Wow, that's good that you're running out of space for that.
It was crazy.
Now we keep getting notifications from Instagram like, if you're doing this as branded content, then you have to do this, and like it's not. We're not making any money.
Yeah, we're all still poor. God,
there's no money. Like,
oh my God!
Isn't it funny? That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
It's not funny. It's the opposite of funny.
Oh, I know what else we can talk about. Another thing that has come up a lot in our episodes is use of social media, either in artistic process or in demonstration of your art. And you are so active on Instagram.
Oh God. I'm trying.
Even when I'm just scrolling through looking at other people's stuff, it'll be like, I hate Kate. So like, you're so amazing. And then like, palette emoji, heart emoji, palette emoji, heart emoji.
Oh yeah, I did. That's my signature move.
I love that. It makes me think of on TikTok, people will write in the comments like, I'm commenting for the algorithm. So then whenever I see your comments, I'm like, Kate's commenting for the algorithm.
I'm going for the algorithm.
I love it.
But in terms of using that as supporting other artists, that's something that's come up a lot in conversation with guests. Whether because that's direct feedback on their work is nice to have, or if you're just like interacting with people, if they're all people that you know, or You just are kind of out there spreading the love.
Yeah. Well, I think, and maybe this sounds very cliche or weird, but maybe that's all somebody has, when they go and they look at their social media, they're putting themselves out there. Like we just said it, very vulnerable, it's like this open wound, and it's easy to be dismissive or to be unkind, and a lot of people use social media platforms to do just that, to create arguments and things like that. And I feel there's already so much of that in the world. So why not try to flip the script? And if you can put a little heart and a little palette emoji, why not do that? Yeah. And I do like talking about what I see in the piece or how it makes me feel. And, maybe that will inspire not the artist, but someone else who's looking at it, at that post, to perhaps see what you see as well, or engage in the conversation. I mean, we're all just human, really. We're all just trying to get through this.
Yeah.
And the people that are doing this, they're the brave ones. It's not cut out for everybody. And to put your open wound out on an internet platform, that takes some guts. And that's everybody. That's musicians. That's everybody that's doing what we call the side hustle.
Oh yeah. All about the side hustle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. I've had such a good time. Do I have to leave? Don't make me go.
Well, I know you're a very busy person. You were recording your radio show earlier today.
I was.
And then you came here.
I was a little scared about inviting you on a Monday. I was prepared to offer you an alternate date, but you were like, "No, I'll be there."
I will be
just
there.
Tell me what time.
It's funny. Somebody was like, "Why don't you call me afterwards?" I'm like, "I don't think I want to talk for a little while. I need to decompress after 7 hours of nonstop verbal communication."
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but this was wonderful. I really, truly, from my heart, I appreciate what you are doing so much.
Thank you.
And again, I don't think you realize what a gift this is to the people in this community and the artists especially. But it's really, it's just so good. So thank you. We really appreciate it. And I've listened to almost all of them.
Thank you.
And it's been so uplifting, and it's inspired me to be not just, to keep plugging away and being creative, but to be a better person about all of it. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kate.
And that was our conversation with Kate Hughes. Kate, thank you so much for coming in today. And thanks again to all of you who are out there listening.
If you'd like to catch Kate live, her next Most Flammable episode, entitled Amsterdam, entitled as such due to the logistics of where the pandemic first began for her. Like her other shows, this show navigates the journey through difficult times, regaining footing through the use of humor. Her show will premiere at Touchstone Theater's outdoor stage on July 17th at 8 p.m. with a rain date of July 18th. Tickets will be sold online through Arts Quest, and Kate has recommended that you purchase your tickets in advance because all of her performances have sold out.
To close out today's episode, here's an excerpt from Most Flammable Women Who Inspire Episode 2, which performed at the Steel Stacks to a sold-out audience on February 28th of 2020.
Kira. I meet Kira at my job through the gallery where I work. Kira is the director of Fig Bethlehem magazine. She comes in during our shoots, and we get to catch up in the short amount of time that we get to spend together, and we both treasure it. She helps me decide what to wear and checks my hair and my facial expressions and the positioning of my roller skates. Basically, she and I get to play during these shoots. It is very, very fun. But before we get to work, like clockwork, she gives me a hug, and her hugs are like magic. They are good. Throughout the years, Kira and I become actual friends and not just work buds. We share the stories of how we've gotten to where we are now. She's a Pisces like me, so it is a no-brainer to love her. No one understands a Pisces more than another Pisces. Or a Gemini. The double signs. Maybe this year, 2020, like the Pisces or Gemini's double theme, maybe this is our year for the Pisces and the Geminis Double 20s, 2020 perfect vision because of the 2020 hindsight. Oh, I hope. I have hindsight for days and miles. But back to Kira. Talk about someone who is upbeat and smiling all the time. Sometimes, if you are lucky, you get to hear her sing. She invites me to dance parties and to grab a quick drink on occasion. I try to take advantage of those times. In the midst of a really lovely friendship we have created, there is a photo shoot for Fig magazine where they are focusing on women in the Lehigh Valley. I'm going to be one of the women featured. I feel like I'm tricking everyone. No one has ever called me a woman. I'm getting a full page ad. I can't believe it. Kira has an idea of how she wants to shoot my page. I also have an idea. I want to use the princess dress that my best friend's daughter, Evangeline, gave me. I want the most flammable sash I stole from a drunk girl at Emily's party. I want to wear a crown that I made Naomi's children make me. And I want to hold the closing night flowers that Katie and Noelle brought for me. I want my mom and my best friend's photos to be the images that we use in the shot. And I want it to be funny. I want to look like I won a weird beauty pageant or something. That's who I am. I'm funny. I want to make people laugh. I didn't want to try to look like I was looking anything other than funny. That's my zone, joke zone. It's where I am the most comfortable. Comedy is my go-to. Kira had another idea. She explained how she really wanted to see the more serious side of me. No goofy face this time, she says. She wanted me to lay on the carpet with my photos all around me and shoot from above. Kira wanted me to show the softer side where maybe, just maybe, my comedy might come from. Kira wants me to be vulnerable, and it gives me a visceral reaction. Like a child, I throw a fit. I'm still in school during this photo shoot and working a full-time job. I am overwhelmed and I am really exhausted. And these are the excuses I'm using for my poor behavior. Kira, I don't want to do this. I don't want to look like I'm trying to look like I think like I'm a model or something. And that's what this feels like. I don't want a fake beauty thing to be the theme here. I want to be funny. I do not want to look like something I do not think I am. I bark at her with a lot of passion and a bit of anger. Kira listens. But she does not waver. She assures me that this is the way to do it, that this photo will mean more to me than any of the other ones we've done because it will be real. It will show the real side of me, running and tired and messy, unraveling a bit. She promises I won't look like I'm trying to look like something I do not think I am. Oh, I am not happy. I am kicking and screaming the whole way. They set up the photo shoot while I just lay there. I am forced to be still. Stillness, something I don't do very well. I am told I cannot move as they set up my photos and art supplies on this gorgeous rug. Then they use all the props that I want, the dress, the sash, the flowers. Once again, I feel real dumb. Why am I fighting any of this? All of this is just really incredible. Plus, because I am still for once, I get to take a quick narcoleptic nap on the floor. It's a good day.